It's that time again. Welcome to the Steel City Roundtable, your home for real stories from real people, where everyone matters and all stories deserve to be told. Enjoy the show. Before we get down to the meat and potatoes of the show, we have to go over our legal disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Steel City Roundtable are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We are not professionals or affiliated with any professional organizations. If you are in crisis, dial 911 immediately and seek professional help. And here are your hosts. Hey guys, Mark Kneebone here. Welcome to the Steel City Roundtable. I am here as usual with my beautiful co-host, Kels.
Hi guys, how's everybody doing today?
And I have an awesome guest here today. A little bit about this gentleman. I met him about a month ago. His name is Jake Miclot. He is the owner, operator, main instructor of True Believer Jiu-Jitsu on Spring Garden Avenue in North Side. He is also a local resident here in Pittsburgh. Jake, why don't you say hi?
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yay.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you being here on such short notice. So why don't you just tell the folks at home a little bit about who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, my name's Jake. I'm 38 years old. I'm from the Pittsburgh area. Moved around here when I was like 13. And I own a competitive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy in the North Side of Pittsburgh. We've been there about, we're going on 5 years now. The school's been around for 8 years. And we're really focused on being Pittsburgh's like pure jiu-jitsu academy.
Now, you're also a competitor as well, correct?
Yeah. I spent most of my, like when I was coming up through the ranks competing. I would say I compete less now that I own the school and I've followed more into like a coaching role. But I compete like once or twice a year. But we definitely have like a competitive jiu-jitsu school. The point is to build competitors.
Now, I'm a little bit jaded because I decided about a month ago that I wanted to go pay someone to beat my ass a little bit. And that's how I found out about you. A buddy of mine, Mark,
That's right.
goes
yeah.
to your gym. And let me tell you what, my first experience down there was amazing. And that's why I immediately asked you to come on, because it was a different mentality down there. The way you train is different. It's much more user-friendly.
Yeah.
You know, why don't you explain where you came up with your philosophy?
So, I mean, I'd say that the first thing is that after doing jiu-jitsu for such a long time, you have to realize that what you're doing is hard. So when you realize, like, if it's hard for me, if it's hard for the people who taught me, like, if, you know what I mean, there's not a person who's good at it who will be like, yeah, this was easy. So then it's like, as the instructor, I think my goal then is to remove all the other parts that make it hard, right? So I remember when I went to my first jiu-jitsu class, I was, like, terrified. I like sat in the parking lot being like, "Oh my God, bro, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this? You know?" And it was hard. And I remember like not everyone was friendly, and like it wasn't like hey, come in here and learn. It was almost like a come in here and find out how weak you are kind of thing, which I didn't mind. But I remember thinking like, man, we're really missing out on just like the opportunity to have athletes who would come in who maybe just like they didn't realize they would be good at this. So my thing is just like I try to create a very welcoming environment where you can come and push yourself into like unwelcoming feelings or territory, right? So it's like in order to get good at this thing, you have to get used to like getting beat up. You have to get used to like pushing past where you're normally used to going to. You have to get used to a bunch of different things that like if we can remove the barrier of like what are people going to think about me, or is someone going to embarrass me? You know what I mean? If we can remove that barrier and just be like, look, man, no one's good at this at the beginning. Even the best guys in the world aren't. They came in their first day, they got the shit beat out of them just like you and you and you and you. And so then it just becomes a thing where I've learned like the atmosphere, the gym, the culture that I like to be a part of is more, it just grows more when you share the things that you like as opposed to trying to like, put down the things you don't like, right? So like I'd say in my teaching thing, it's just like I'm very stoked about what I'm doing, so I'm trying to share that with people. Like, hey, I'm really stoked about this. You should be really stoked about this. And if you're not, like, let's find something. Like maybe it's not this that you need to do. Maybe it's something else.
It comes through in your teaching because I remember my first session there. I walked up to you. I was like, yeah, I know, I used to take judo. I mean, this was 16, 17 years ago. I took judo. I took a couple different martial arts. I was decent at it back then. And then I got on that mat, and I literally was winded within like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was just so brutal because it wasn't what you were doing. It's just the fact that BJJ is just, it's brutal in your cardio. If you have no cardio.
It's one of those things that like, this is why I love jiu-jitsu, because it's really not about who's talented. Like talented people come and wash out all the time. You know what I mean? Like I have talented guys who come and then like they can't hang. So it's like about who sticks around. So it's like finding that mental space where you're like, okay, this is going to be tough, but how do I stick around? And then if you stick around, you get better at it. But like that's what I mean is like there's not a person you could take any. I mean, like I always say CrossFit athletes because they tend to be like in our view is like, oh man, they're super fit. They can do like all this stuff. But like they all come in and die the first week too. So it's like everyone goes through that and like that's what I understand is like, bro, there ain't a person. I've never in 15 years of doing this, I've yet to see the guy who comes in and has like an easy first day.
So, out of curiosity, I don't know anything about it. I'm learning.
Go figure. A woman doesn't know something.
Oh, what a dick. Anyway, is this derived from any type of religious, or is this more just a physical type of thing?
I think so. The answer, I guess, would be like it's just physical, but then the long answer is like that's impossible, right? So anything that's really hard, I think, like taps into something like deeper, especially when it's you're struggling. Like there is no getting good at jiu-jitsu without struggling. That's actually like I tell people all the time. Like I think a lot of martial arts sell like, oh, I sell confidence and I sell self-reliance, and like no, I sell suffering. And like how to deal with that suffering,
okay.
Right? But I think that when you learn how to do that, it inevitably taps into something deeper. So I wouldn't say like necessarily religious, but I would say that like there's a philosophy that kind of carries through jiu-jitsu, that not everyone's is going to be the same.
Sure.
Right? So my school's is you train hard, you don't whine, you treat everyone like they're your teammate, right? So it's like I think it's important to like cheer on other people's victories. Like that's what I would say is like we learn that through the philosophy of the school. So like I'm not a very, I would say, spiritual person, but not religious person.
Sure, we understand that.
Church never really made that much sense to me, and
I'm in the same boat, brother.
Until I started doing jiu-jitsu, right? So like for me, what so if I ever feel like anxious or like like whatever, something's off, the first place that I want to go is like to the gym, but not like to lift weights. Like I want to go do jiu-jitsu somewhere. So even if I'm traveling out of the country, like, and I start feeling a little off, like the first thing that I want to go do is almost like get my equilibrium back.
Yeah.
And for me, that jiu-jitsu does that. It like brings me back to center.
Okay.
So I think that for a lot of people, that's what church does.
Yeah.
And so when I started going to jiu-jitsu and you kind of have this, it's almost like a euphoric feeling after like a really hard training. And I'm like, oh, this is what people feel like at church. So I'd say like it opened my mind to understand what people felt like at church or something religious. But there's not like an inherent, I mean, like I think it's going to touch into something deeper in you just because it's hard. Yeah. Like, I mean, like I think if you do anything hard, you have to have that moment inside your head that's like that truthful talk.
Sure.
Which is like, is this hard or am I soft? You know what I mean? Like
this ties into everything that we're about, and that's why I wanted you on here. Is because with us being in recovery, the hardest thing is to take that first step.
Yeah.
To say, I'm helpless. I need to do something about it, and take that first step. It's the same way with jiu-jitsu. You walk in that gym, you get on that mat for the first time, and you're rolling with a guy that's got a brown belt or a purple belt, and he's just having his way with you.
Yeah.
And he's just beating you down. But the thing is, you have to keep coming back.
Yeah.
It's like anything else that's difficult. You can't quit. It's going to suck.
100%. And then I guess for me at least, because I had that same experience. Like my first jiu-jitsu class, like I walked in and I got the shit beat out of me, But I remember thinking like, well, if this guy can do it, like, I can do it. And so like there's some of that like that's what helped me. It was just like, yeah, this is hard, but if this guy can do it, like I could probably do it.
One of the coolest things you do in your class is to pound up when you roll. When you break off into your drills, you acknowledge each other and you acknowledge each other's efforts and what you're about to get into, so that there aren't any hurt feelings.
And I would say that's universal across jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Like, that's not a my school thing. That's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu thing. We don't have our thing unless you have other people.
Yeah.
It's not like I can just, I don't know, sit at home and get better at it. It's impossible. I have to interact with other people. Yeah, and then you have to understand that like jiu-jitsu also helped me. Like I was kind of like a wild kid before person. I don't know.
No,
before
please
I
dive into
found,
that.
I mean, it was just like I like trouble. You know what I mean? Like I've never been a person who, maybe not trouble, but I think like ever since I basically became like, I don't know, old enough to think thoughts, I like knew what I thought.
Well, I
You
mean,
know
I
what I mean?
watched a couple podcasts that you were in, and it talked a lot about the music scene
Yeah.
when you were younger. Why
Yeah.
don't you go into that a little bit? Because I was a kind of an outcast too.
Okay.
You know, I didn't fit, and you know, for me it was sports and
Yeah.
whatever.
So I mean, like my life. I mean, like I think I would have been into music and stuff just like anyways. It was just like probably I was born that. I think like the same way. Like I'm into my whole life. I've been into like being aggressive. I guess if that makes sense. I've never been like the quiet kid. You know, I was like always kind of making some sort of commotion. You know.
Yeah, being seen.
Yeah,
Me
and
too.
like I moved a lot when I was a kid. So like I think we talked about this before we started recording, but by the time I was 13, I lived in 7 houses in 6 states. And then from kindergarten through high school, I never went to a school for more than 2 years.
Now that's got to be really tough on your like your emotional growth.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's so funny because I only can look at it through hindsight now. Like when you're dealing with it, you're just like, especially when you're a kid, I was just like, I don't know, I'm just one day. It was just like
Yeah, it's
one
just part
day,
of
yeah,
life.
just like put my foot in front of the other one, right? And looking back at it now, like there was definitely made things harder for sure than maybe some other people, but it also gave me talents and tools later in my life that I understand a lot of people don't have. So like for example, like I don't get nervous meeting new people. Like I don't care who it is. Like if you stick me in a room, you're like, bro, here's 100 people you never met. This might sound cocky, but like I actually think like I'm gonna walk out with like 10 friends and 99 people who think I'm awesome. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and like and cool if you don't. And that's the other thing is like if there's 10 of them who are like I don't like Jake, like all right, bet like don't like that's fine too. You know what I mean? Like so I think like growing up that way where I kind of like every 2 years was forced to like say goodbye to a group of people and then remake a new group of people and then like you know you kind of like hold on to some and but it made me realize like very quickly like I almost have like me and my brothers talk about it. We have like a superpower where we can just like cut poisonous people out. You know, like
Yeah.
like if you give me shit, I'm real good at like I can tell you, I can confront you, and then I can literally forget you exist. You know, and like I think that growing up that way, like I have those two super. Like I feel like I can go into any place. I'm gonna find one person who I vibe with, then we're gonna find 10 people, and then we're gonna take the thing over, and then whoever doesn't like it is like their problem. You know, so like
I'm
That's
just
huge.
now learning the cutting people out thing.
yeah, but I think I was forced that way, and I also like I mean like I have 2 parents who were like very aware of what was happening, like they knew they were making us do this. You know what I mean? And so like when I was a kid, if my parents had like a dinner party, part of like our responsibility of being a kid was like we had to walk around and say hello to everybody. So like I've always just been a person where like I can talk to anybody. I can talk about like you guys said, is there anything? I'm like I don't talk about anything. I'm cool. Like
I mean, that's a skill that a lot of people don't get.
no,
You know,
100%.
you know, like just a little bit about me. Like I come from multiple divorces growing up, so it wasn't about moving around. It was about the nuclear family.
Right.
You know, there's people coming and going in my own home, and I was very shy. You know, I was unable to be that person that could trust in their personality and just go in somewhere and be like, I'm going to make friends.
Right.
Now over time, as I grew older, that started to come. But to learn that at such a young age, that's probably one of the things that drew me to you in the class, because when I was in there and it just, the way you carried yourself, you were 100% comfortable and 100% real.
Yeah.
And I've been to schools for different martial arts where it was, very black and white.
Right.
It was like very strict, very this, very that. This is my way. This is the only way. And I remember the one day I called out, I said, I gave the name of a move you were doing and you're like, no, it's not that. It's this, but that's that.
Right.
And it was funny because you just kind of laughed it off and you didn't like get mad because I interrupted you because I'm a loudmouth and I interrupt everybody.
Yeah,
but it was just the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you, and but I think like I'm also super lucky that like I'm 38 and I could name to you like 5 people who those are the 5 I care about. Meaning like it's not that I don't care about anyone else, but kind of like I'm going to behave a certain way until one of these 5 people's like, hey, like chill. But I know, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I know, like, okay, I have like,
you got your family, your
yeah,
friends.
yeah, that's it. It's
that
like
tight
I'm not too concerned if everyone likes me, as long as like the people that I care about like me. And then the thing is like, I act in a way. So I can't remember where I heard this or said this. Like one of my friends probably said it, but it's just like, imagine if at the end of every day, like your closest friends, your boys, like you know what I mean, like the ones that you're like, all right, these are my boys or whatever, even my wife or whatever, like had to watch your day, like on tape. Like how would you act? You know what I mean? And I kind of like I have friends who hold me accountable for anything. You know what I mean? Like if I say I'm gonna do something, my friends check up. I have like a group of friends who check up on me, so that has made it easy for me to like just be me. You know, so, and also like I think that I know I'm not always right. You know what I mean? Like I'm open to learn. I think there's a lot of things that like a path that people can take, places. So like especially in jiu-jitsu, it's like I only got this because I realized like not one person has the answer, right? So it's like there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different things, and the more that's what I mean about like the more barriers we can remove. So like when I first started, the first jiu-jitsu school I ever went to, like the dude was a dick. You know what I mean? Like he was just like a bully. And I remember thinking like this sucks. And I was like, and this was when I grew up, so we talked about it. I moved a lot, and then the next important thing in my whole life was hardcore punk music. It was like the only thing I cared about all the way up through when I left college, basically until jiu-jitsu. I was like 14. I found some Hatebreed records or whatever, and then I started going to local shows, and that was the only thing I cared about. But we like learned how to be around maniacs then, right? And so like me and my friends maybe handled things differently than other groups of friends. Like when I was in high school, I'd like my friends beat up grown men. Like I'd already seen my friends like beat up. It's like security. You know what I mean? It's like go to high school and be like, this is normal. I'm not scared of you guys. This sucks.
So I'm guessing you are familiar with the 31st Street Pub.
Yeah, but I would say like that's even just like a little bit older than me.
Okay.
Because
that's where I used to hang out.
Okay, because the 31st Street Pub wasn't like an all ages club.
Correct.
Right. And then by the time that I was old enough to go to the 31st Street Pub, it was kind of like over. Right. So for me, it was like in Pittsburgh, guys will know this. It was like Club Laga down in Oakland, and then like the Millvale Industrial Theater, and then there was a place in Roboto called it was in Wilkinsburg. It was called the Roboto Project, and it was like this community center of like weird punk guys who like it was like a commune. I don't know. I can't even explain it. Me and my friends didn't get it, and we were kind of always like outcasts from that because we were like the jocks. You know what I mean? Like the regular punk dudes always looked at us like we played sports, and sports dudes looked at us like we like were punk dudes. You know what I mean? So like we kind of never fit in anywhere. But that's how I kind of like cut my teeth. You know, like doing that. And so I remember my first jiu-jitsu class, I was just hardcore dudes. It was just like other kind of like street kids, you know, like maniacs. And I went and I was like, this sucks. Like it was just a dude bullying everybody. And for a while, that's like what jiu-jitsu was. Like it was like, can you go here and just get like bullied and like beat up and take it? And then eventually you started learning. But I was like, I'm not doing that. Like that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, no, I remember thinking like my first class, like, yeah, but what if I come back with 8 friends? Like, you're not going to bully me then.
Yeah, I mean, like, jiu-jitsu is trial by fire.
100%.
You know, like, the first time you get tapped out, it's an eye-opening experience. It's like, this guy's not going to stop until I tap.
But it should be different than, like, so this is what I mean. Like, look, if you come into my school your first day and you want to roll with me, like, it's only going to go one way. You're going to tap. But it shouldn't be humiliating.
Yes, and that's...
You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be... Like, I'm not here to humiliate you.
It's a learning experience.
You're smart enough that you came here. You probably already know what's going on.
Well, I mean, you got to be tested.
Yeah, and if you need humiliated...
Yeah.
Oh, by all means, brother.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You got to get tested to see what your salt is.
Yeah.
You got to see what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And in jiu-jitsu, like, I think it mirrors recovery in a lot of ways, because of the philosophy behind it is to learn and to educate yourself and to become practiced at what you're doing and to employ certain techniques on a regular basis so that you get better at it. Yeah. It's the same thing with recovery. You know, every day in recovery, you have to go down the checklist of the things you need to do in order to make sure you stay there. But yeah, I just I want to thank you personally because I absolutely love coming to your studio.
It's my pleasure,
a
man.
Great place.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, that's the goal. Is like, I know it's hard. Like that's the thing is there's no way to sugarcoat what I do. It's like, look, man, I'm gonna come in here. You're gonna put on like some goofy outfit that's uncomfortable. People are gonna wrap it around your neck and choke you with it, and you're gonna have to fight them for 6 minutes, and then you're gonna go to your car and like suffer. You know what I mean? And it's like, but if you do, I promise you, if you do this for 3 months, you're gonna see like changes you didn't know. You know what I mean? Like things are gonna just happen to you. Like that's what I mean. Like I was just like with this wild kid. I literally went to jiu-jitsu. My first jiu-jitsu class. If you would have asked me like, what did you sign up for? A lot of people are like, oh man, I want a hobby, or I want to like, you know, they give you like the PC answer. I straight up looked at the guy and was like, I want to beat people up in the street. Like that's what I'm here for. I'm here to like beat. And then like I started doing jiu-jitsu. I got good at jiu-jitsu, and I haven't been in a street fight since. You know what I mean? It's just like the idea of that seems like silly to me now. But at the time, it was like, I'm just here. I just want to be tougher than all my friends.
It was the foot in the door.
I just want to be tougher than all my friends. Like that was literally. I was like, I was always like a skinny kid.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just gonna be tougher. I've got to find something that makes me tougher than all my friends.
Yeah. I mean, I'd been thinking about coming back for a while once I got clean because I stopped going when I became a police officer because I was worried I was going to get hurt. And you know, the drinking got involved and I never went back. And then I was thinking, like, what can I do that's going to reinstill the discipline in me to stick with a program? And, you know, my buddy Mark was like, why don't you come to True Believer? Check it out. Jake's an awesome dude. You'll have a great time. I'm like, bro, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get my ass kicked and I'm going to be pissed. Because, you know, when I did judo, I was just a strong guy. You know, my technique sucked, but I was strong.
Right.
You know, strength doesn't mean that much in jiu-jitsu.
I mean, it helps.
It helps, but if you're going against somebody that has technique
you're dead.
and has experience, you're done. Because what is it, Adam?
Yeah.
He rolled against me, and literally everywhere I went, there was a choke.
Right.
Everywhere I went, there was an arm bar. And finally, he tapped me out by just leg scissoring my ribs so hard I felt like they were going to break.
Yeah.
You know, and that dude's a beast.
Yeah, right.
You know, but the thing is, he was nice about it. You know, I remember going to studios where a guy would do that to you and he'd taunt you afterwards.
Yeah, and see, like that to me is just like, so first it's that's like a week. There's a place for that. You know what I mean? Like if you're that kind of guy, like if you're really that kind of guy, like, and I am, like trust me, I'm the most competitive person at my gym. I compete. Like I tell people all the time, like half the reason I'm successful is just because like I have spite. Like I just wake up and I just like I'm beating everybody today, like at whatever it is. So like I get being competitive. The problem is just like there's a place for that, and it's not the training room. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not there. And then what I like about my gym is just like I really am about this life. Like I really loved it. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing more that I like than like I don't get a feeling better than fighting. This is my favorite thing. So if I see someone being a bully in my school, it's like, bro, first off, like 8 other dudes are going to catch it before I catch it. But then I catch it, like we're bullying the bullies. You know what I mean? So it becomes just like a trickle down thing where it's like, and I say this all the time, like, bro, remember how nice I was to you during your first class? Well, you got to be that nice to the next guy. Because then we're going to build everybody up. We're going to be like the hardest team in the area. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not concerned with being the best jiu-jitsu guy in the area. I want to have the best jiu-jitsu school. You know, and like you need people for that. You need a community. You need like people to, I don't know. I just think it's like, it's one of my main things is just like, man, we spend so much time, people spend so much time like putting people down, talking about shit we don't like, whatever, like doing your dance move after the touchdown where it's just like, dude, if you just didn't do that, everything would get better. It's like so many things would get better. And it's just like, so if you want to, like, look, that's what I mean. I'm competitive. I like showing off. I like getting my flowers. You know what I mean? Like, if I win something, I want people to know. Yeah. But that's, like, what tournaments are for. Like, bro, if you want to do that and, like, clown on the guy, like, we have world champions at my school from these exact conversations. So I'm like, I don't know, bro, go win the tournament. Then they win that. I'm like,
Go win the next one.
Yeah, and then it's like, go win worlds. And it's like, okay, you won worlds, let's party. You know what I mean? Like, now you did it, you know? So I like that about jiu-jitsu because I think, like, you don't have to quiet those things. You don't have to silence them. You know what I mean? Like I'm cocky. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, what's the difference between like cocky and confidence? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and like, that's up to you, whoever's
Yeah, it's
thinking about me.
subjective.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can be like, damn, Jake's cocky, or damn, Jake's confident. But like, I'm going to get the job done either way. So that's what I mean is like, I feel that way. But jiu-jitsu taught me that. And then it's like, because I learned you need other people around you. You know what I mean? Like, you need, I mean, like, there's another black belt who teaches at our class. His name's Mike. Mike teaches the leg locks because he's better at it than me. You understand? So it's like, being a black belt for me is also understanding like, oh, this guy's better at it than me. Like, sick. You're in the spot now. You know what I mean? Like, you do this. Just share with everybody.
Now you said,
I'm,
go ahead.
I'm
Go
hopping
ahead.
in
Go
now.
ahead.
Yins have been in a love fest for like the past fucking
Dude,
45
you got to
minutes.
understand. You got to come to one class, and
Well,
you will
that's
just
the
be
thing.
absolutely
You threw me in
addicted.
the middle of this, and I want to learn more. So
Yeah.
let me have my fucking time.
Yeah, let's go.
Going into a first class, how do you said everybody has to fight for 6 minutes.
Yeah, but okay, so
Like, do you go in and like teach them about
yeah,
the skill
100%,
first and then put them in
100%.
a
So
ring?
what I would say is like when my first class was literally like, yo, fight this dude.
Okay.
And it was like, what do you mean? They're like, put these gloves on and just fight this guy. But I liked that. I mean, like, had it not been that, I don't know if I would have signed up.
Okay.
But those gyms don't make champions or money.
Sure.
No, they just like make hard dudes. You're like, oh, okay, there's like 5 hard guys, 5 tough guys. The first jiu-jitsu school I went at was very much just like a tough guy school.
Okay.
There was like 12 of us, all 12. Like if I named all 12 guys, like even if they have like kids and jobs and haven't done jiu-jitsu, they're still like tough. You know what I mean? But that gym didn't make any money. It didn't make any champions, you know? So the first thing is, and this is what I think is really cool about jiu-jitsu, is even though I went in being like, I want to learn this to smash people. Like for real. I was like, I want to mush people. As you do it, you start to be like, whoa, I actually get to like respect people's humanity. So the things that used to make me angry before, and I'd be like, I'm going to crush this guy. Now I think like, oh man, he's probably having like a terrible day. You know, like, so what's cool about jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu actually translates to gentle touch. So the idea isn't necessarily to hurt the person. It just takes you a while to like realize that, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing is like, I think that we have a sport that's like 100% like up to you. Meaning like you have to consent to all of it because you can tap at any point and that means stop. So my school is like, look, at the beginning, your first day, your only goal is just make it through the class. So if like that means 30 seconds into the 6-minute or 3-minute thing you need a break, like, yeah, hell yeah, take a break.
Okay.
It's not high school. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I hated all that shit my whole life. Like, if they would have been like a stupid rule, you know what I mean? Like, you can't take a break. I'm like, bro, I'm paying you money. I'm doing whatever I want.
Right.
Now, if you come to me and you say, so like, when you come and you say, like, I'm just here for my first class. I'm just here. I just want to check it out. I'm like, sick. I'm going to make sure that it's safe and you just check it out. But the day you come to me and you're like, I want to win this tournament. I'm like, cool. So my job as a coach is just to hold you accountable to what you just said.
Okay.
Right? So if you say to me, if you just come to me and you're like, man, I just want to get in shape and like get a new hobby, I'm going to hold you accountable to that. So if I like see you at McDonald's smashing double cheeseburgers, I might like, hey bro, what are you doing? You know what I mean? But like, I'm not going to make fun of you. My job's not to beat you up. It's not to embarrass you. It's just to hold you accountable. So I would say like most people, I'm holding them accountable just to like, just get through today.
Okay.
So if you need to take a rest, take a rest. Like, all good. We're here to learn.
Say I come in and I come to my very first class. This is it. And I want to get in shape.
Yep.
And I want to pick up a new hobby.
Perfect.
What do you start me doing?
So we have 3 classes a week that are called intro classes.
Okay.
They are for I call it like people with NPS, no previous sports. So like if you never even did a sport in your whole life, these are the classes for you.
Okay.
Right? So the first one is just like, you're just going to learn how to be in your body. So it's like almost like doing little kid things, like somersaults, little silly movements. And then it is understanding that like we're here to be playful and rough, which is like something that's taken out of a lot of people. Like when you're a kid, I think it's okay to be rough and tumble. And then around like high school, they're like, stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I try to be like, let's bring that back in.
Right.
Right. So like, let's tackle each other and like not hurt each other, but like, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was always fun. You know, like I was a kid that was like, bro, if we're playing football, we're playing tackle football. If we could play tackle basketball, I was trying to play that. You know what I mean? So like, I always had fun being physical. So first it would just be like try to get your comfort level up with like, hey, you're going to be like touching people. They're going to be touching you. And this is how you make it safe and this is how you don't make it safe. And then what I would say is I would challenge you. I would say, okay, cool. So we have this intro class 3 times a week. I want you to come 3 times a week for a month. And then I might say like, hey, why don't you switch out one of these intro classes for just like a fundamentals class? And the only difference is like, if we train 3-minute rounds in the fundamentals class, we train 6-minute rounds in the other class, right?
Oh,
So it's
okay.
just like it's tiered. That being said, like let's say you went to like our hardest class, the competition class, where sometimes we'll like the other day we set the clock for 50 minutes. It was just like you're just gonna fight for an hour, and every time you lose, you get a break, right? And whoever's out rotates in. But if halfway through there you're like, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, oh cool, just go sit down. I'm like, all good.
Go hang out.
No, all good. Like, cool, you pushed yourself to the point, and then we're gonna push again. But if you're saying to me like, I want to be a world champion, and then you go sit down, I'll be like, yo, world champions don't sit down.
Yeah.
Let's go. So that's what I mean. It can be very like tiered, and that's what I like about jiu-jitsu is it is something where you could come and just be like, I just want to have an exercise. I just want to like meet some new people, and I want to feel like I can take care of myself in the street. I'd be like, cool, come 3 times a week until you're addicted. Then
Okay.
then it's gonna happen the rest, right? And then if a month in you're like, I think I want to compete. Cool. Then we just move the goalposts a little bit.
Okay. And then do you have like, is it an everybody type of thing? Like women, men?
Yeah. So I have a
teens?
women's only class.
Okay.
On Wednesday nights. It's just women, and we have like a woman instructor and this. But I would say that most of the girls who train in that class end up training in all the classes. But it is also like that's what I mean. Like it's a sport of consent, and I'm in charge. So like, meaning like if you came and you were like, let's say Mark was like, hey, you want to roll, and you really don't want to, and you're like, no, I don't really want to, and then Mark gives you pressure, you literally just come and be like, yo, this is happening. And then I handle it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like, bro, no, she don't want to. Sorry.
Right.
Go over
You're too
here.
big. Get away
No,
from
just like it can be, you don't have to explain. Like that's what I think is different about my gym than others. It's
Okay.
just like there's a lot of paths that we can take to get better, and a lot of people have different goals, and different mindsets. And I think that jiu-jitsu can help people accomplish a lot of those things.
Sure.
So it is like I'm going to constantly be asking you to be uncomfortable with in a realm that you're comfortable with. Right? So
Yeah.
I'm never going to be like, okay, now you got to, I don't know, fight. Like if I didn't know you could do it, I wouldn't be like, okay, fight for 20 minutes.
Right.
I know you can do it. So it's almost that. Like I think it's more about like I think my job if I'm doing my job right is to understand what people want out of it, ask them for a little bit more, and then hold them accountable at least to what they
Sure.
wanted.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would say like this is so the other thing is I would say like, and I've said this a few times, so I might get the words wrong, but like my school's for everybody, but not for anybody.
Sure.
So like whoever you are, you can come try it. That doesn't mean you're gonna like it,
Right.
and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, and if you don't like it, like that's fine with me. But I'm not gonna change my thing so that everyone likes it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No. That.
But
makes
I
complete
do
sense.
try to make it comfortable enough that everyone can try and get like the real version of it, right? So it's like you're gonna come and I'm gonna make this as comfortable for you to get the real version of it. But when you get the real version of it, if you're like, oh, I don't like this, like, oh, okay, all good. Like,
What if I pay you just to come and watch Mark get his ass beat?
I mean, you can just come watch. I
The
think
door's open.
Yeah,
It's unlocked. You can just come in and watch.
The thing is like you'll see it once and then you'll just be like, oh, this isn't that great. Like this isn't. It's
not like-
everyone.
not
Yeah,
a
yeah.
brawl,
Like you could take like anyone. Like that's what I'm. So like one of my best friends is the guy who gave me my black belt. His name's Gutenberg. He's from Brazil. He just won the Pan American Championships in what we have called the open weight division.
Cool.
So there's no weight class. This is like whatever you weigh, and he won. But the idea is like his first class went terrible for him. You know what I mean? Like, and someone can beat him up, and he can beat me up, and so it's just like everyone loses. There's always someone who can. You know what I mean? So if you do jiu-jitsu enough, like, and you watch, like very quickly, I think maybe at the beginning, you might look at people and like, oh, he's gonna beat this guy, but like very quickly you're just like, I don't even care. Like,
I mean, if you're ego driven, you're probably going to have a rough time.
yeah, probably. But I would also say like one of the differences is I think like a lot of jiu-jitsu schools say like leave your ego at the door. That's like a cliche thing that they'll say, like, which is like okay for some people, but I think that's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, like if you have
Like,
an ego.
no,
you
I have an ego. I
Yeah.
do, but I think I have a healthy ego, meaning, like if someone beats me because they just beat me, like I'm not happy about it, but I also am not gonna cry about it and like dog them or you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
like, I'm very competitive. You need an ego to be the person that I am, if that makes sense. Like to be the person who's be like, yeah, I'm gonna open my own gym, and like, I'm gonna drop out of school, and like, you know what I mean. Like I'm just gonna figure this out. Like you need a little bit of ego for that, but I think like jujitsu's helped me keep like a healthy ego.
I mean, your ego is kind of like aggression. You know, you have aggression and you have controlled aggression, right?
Right.
So, you know, having an ego is great as long as you know where the limits are.
That's it.
You know, being cocky and being rude and disrespectful
Exactly.
and having an ego like that is not going to work out for
No.
you because you're going to see it, or Chris is going to see it, or
Yeah.
Adam's going to see it, and they're going to be like, let's roll.
Yeah, and it trickles down. That's what
Yeah.
I mean is like, and that kind of stuff gets like I'm just so lucky. It's never been a problem at my gym. Like we just haven't had it. Like I can't even think in the 8 years of like a guy who came in that I was like, and I had to ask him to leave because he was just a jerk, you know. But
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky that I surrounded myself with like the first crew of guys. Well, I basically was like, we got to kill everyone. That's our school. Like you got to train so hard that we're gonna beat everyone, and then we can make whatever rules we want. You know what I mean? Like we can be nice. We can, and so like, I try to be super welcoming, and like I'm very lucky that the guys underneath me understand that is better that way. You know, like it's way cooler to be around. Like, look, like we talked before. Like I kind of am like an outcast guy, and I like that. But I'm also the outcast guy who's over here being like, "Yo, come check this out."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm over here doing this thing, but it's so much doper than what you're doing that you should come check it out, and it's better with more people. Like, so like even playing in bands and doing hardcore music is like, bro, if there's 50 kids in the basement, imagine how wild this shit would be with 100 kids in the basement, you know? Or like for jiu-jitsu, it's like when there's 15 dudes in the room, I'm like, yo, this shit would be so sick if there was 30 people in the room who felt this way. And it's like, so I think that's the cool part where it's like, yeah, we're like an island of misfit toys, or like I don't know, like a motorcycle gang or like a pirate ship, but it's like, but you don't have to do a whole lot to like be in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're married, right?
I am married, yeah.
How many kids you have?
None.
Good.
Two
Good,
dogs.
man. 2 dogs. Well,
Two
you got
dogs.
2 kids.
Yeah.
How do you balance? I mean, you have 3 classes. I'm sure you teach quite a few of those.
I teach like 90% of the classes, and then private. I mean, like I do jiu-jitsu full time.
How do you manage the marriage and that? Because
Well, first off-
we're both divorced.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm extremely lucky in the fact that like getting married to my wife was the best thing I ever did. You know what I mean? Like
We were talking about that.
it's just like 100%. Like I tell people all the time, like I have a few superpowers. Like I'm gonna, I told you about a few of them, but like in the same one that I can walk away from like most people is like I can walk away from like deals. I don't love anything so much that I can't walk away from it except for my wife. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
I'm super lucky that I found the right person. So when I met my wife, I was like even more of a jiu-jitsu maniac than I am now. Right? I was like a purple belt, and I was competing like pretty much every 6 weeks. I was traveling to compete, and like I had a business. I owned a retail guitar store in Lawrenceville, but I was training jiu-jitsu so much that I like basically bankrupted it. I had to like sell it to my friend because I was doing so. I was just like, it's a long story, but I didn't like it. Right? I had this business, and then I started training jiu-jitsu, and I was like, I'm just doing full in on this. So by the time that my wife and I even started dating, like I had both my ears were cauliflowered. Like she just knew it was part of who I was, and I remember telling her like, look, I know it's like hard to date somebody who from like 5 to 9 p.m. at night every night is training with a bunch of dudes. Like I get that, but like the reason you like me is because I do these things. You know what I mean? Like these are the things that make me able to do all these other things that you like. And she very much at the beginning was just like, hell yeah. And then my wife ended up starting to train with, my wife's actually a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
and she also owns her own business. So we live like very, like I'm lucky, like I married a pirate too. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of like, I'm like, my wife owns her own business. She does what she wants. You know what I mean? And like, I do what I want. You know, if we want to do something different, we're going to do something different, you know? So I'm super lucky because I got like the number one fan, number one support, and then I got the person that I'm stoked to be like the number one fan, the number one support. You know, so
That's a dream, though.
yeah, I would say like I don't have to balance it much because it's just like I'm. It's not even like giving permission. It's just like this is who we are. This is why you like me, you know. So it's even like and I do other stuff. Like I mean, I play in a band. I still play in like a hardcore band. We still travel around and play on the weekends, and my wife's like fully supportive of that too, you know. So
You want to plug that band real quick?
yeah, the band's called Pain Clinic. We're from Pittsburgh.
I actually heard of you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard, but I know.
I mean, we have like a
I've
little
heard
bit
you
of buzz.
guys.
We're like some older guys in the scene who like have been doing it. We travel around and we play. We have this is actually the label shirt. So From Within Records put our record out, and
Okay.
we're working on a new record. And I mean, like that's literally like before jiu-jitsu, all I cared about was hardcore. Then I got jiu-jitsu going, and then it was like, okay, like I have some free time. Like let's do a hardcore band again.
You guys play locally?
I mean, we do play locally. We're playing June 15th out in New Kensington. There's a venue out there. It's called Preserving Underground.
Okay.
So we're actually doing a benefit show. One of our friends, his daughter needs a heart transplant. So a bunch of bands are getting together and just going to donate all the money from that. So it's June 15th.
How much are the tickets?
I think they're like $15.
Folks, check them out.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going.
definitely.
For a good
It'll be-
cause.
It'll be a
I'm
fun
going.
one.
I'll be there.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. I mean, there's like, it has a bar. There's everything you want. Oh, I guess.
Oh,
I
whoa,
My
whoa,
fault.
whoa, whoa.
I forget.
Whoa,
I'm
whoa.
plugging it. I have to plug it to my boys. So they have non-alcoholic. They have mixed drinks, the non-alcoholic ones too, you know. But it's a good scene. It's a good time. But I mean, like even that. That's how my wife met me. You know what I mean? It was like, yo, you are kind of like, if
Perfect
anything,
storm.
I've kind of calmed down. You know, it's like if anything, I've gotten easier to be around than harder to be around. So
If someone says, "Hey, I want to compete," how would you go about? What would be your advice to them?
okay, let's find a tournament in the next 3 months, and you got to put your name on it. So like the
Okay.
first one is like okay, you want to compete 6. I think that I can take anyone from nothing to in 3 months to the point where you might not win, but you're not going to get embarrassed. And at the beginning, the thing to remember is like, well, first off, even at black belt, reasonably nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've competed as much as you can, and I've won and lost in every way that you can win and lose, and no one cares except for
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? Like even the people at my gym are like, "Good job," and then you just like train the next day. So jiu-jitsu's not. It's even the guys who are best at the world. Like if you go win the world championships, you're still going and teaching at your gym on Monday, right? So I would say like the first thing is just like jump in. It's just like get over the fear of what is this. You know what I mean? Like the unknown. So like when I was training jiu-jitsu, I literally trained for like 2 months. And in Pittsburgh, they used to have a tournament called the Kumite, which was like at the Monroeville Convention Center.
I've heard of that too.
Yeah, it was wild as shit. It was literally embarrassing. Yeah, like I used to like not tell my homies or like my brother. You know, like anyone who knew me, I'd be like, no, dog, you can't come watch. Because at the same time, because to me, jiu-jitsu is real fighting. Boxing's real fighting. Muay Thai is real fighting. Wrestling's real fighting. But like spin around a stick and scream in the air is just like not real fighting to me. So you have to like walk in and there's like 12-year-olds like spinning swords around and shit. And I just have to be like, no, it's not this, I promise, you know, like, so like when I first started competing, like that was, you just went, it was like the dark ages, you know what I mean? Like you just went and if there was other dudes there, you just try to kill them. So like, I think though that as soon as I did it, so like that's what I mean. I did the Kumite, it was like 2 months in and I got second place, but it wasn't because I was good. I just like wasn't scared. And then that at least gave me like a starting point. Meaning, like, no one cares until you're a black belt anyways. So if you go to a white belt tournament and you lose to another white belt, it's like you have no obligation to win. You suck at this. Like, it's really nice when you can just understand, like, oh, I suck at this. You know, like, I'll tell people at the gym, like, bro, don't stress. You just suck at this. Like, you're not always going to suck at it, but you do right now.
Yeah.
That's okay. And, like, go fight some other dudes who suck at this and, like, see what happens. And then, like, if you need a baseline. You need a, like, I'm big on, like, data. Right? So you can say you want to compete, but we don't know what's going to happen when you could be the best guy in the gym. You sign your name on the paper, and then your like anxiety scares the shit out of you. And then it's like, oh, bro, we didn't even know that was a problem. We've only been working on technique. We need to be talking about your mental thing. Thank God you signed up for this white belt tournament at the Kumite that no one cares about, but we can figure this out. So that's what I would say. If someone came to me and they're like, I think I want to compete. I also don't think that's a crazy thing to say your first day because remember, I swear to God, I walked in and I was like, I want to fuck dudes up. Like, I said the craziest thing you could say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so anything that anyone else says to me, I'm just like, yeah, cool, man. Like, you could literally come in and be like, I want to learn how to break cops' arms. And I'd be like, sick. Like, that's wild. You know what I mean? Like, no, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that's so wild that you can't say it to me that I think it's crazy. So if you come in and you're like, I want to compete, I'm like, bro, yeah, sick. Like, I'm a competitive person too. Like, if I went to a bowling thing, I would join the bowling league. You know, like, so to me, it's just like, let's not talk about it. Let's be about it. Let's find the next one, sign your name up, pay your money, and now there's no backing out.
What's the biggest competition you've been in?
I mean, I fought in the World Championships.
Okay. What's that like? That's got to be crazy.
Man, it is crazy. But again, it's just like, it's crazy. It would have been crazier to win it. I think that, you know what I mean? I did pretty well. I made it like one round short of the medals, the best I ever did. But
I mean, that's saying something because there's crazy.
You know, it was crazy, and it was awesome. So I mean, like, I guess I reached a point in my jiu-jitsu where I was just like so happy that I got to do it, which isn't necessarily what I would tell people. Like, I don't think you should be a happy to do it person. You should be like, I want to win it. But I was just so happy. I was just like, bro, this is so sick. Like, my body works. I'm here with, you know what I mean? Like, I got on this plane. I'm doing this thing that I think is sick, and like, I also realized, like, on Monday, no one cares. Like, like I go back to my, it's just about what I put into it. And I put a lot, you know what I mean? Like, trust me, I lost and cried, and I won and cried, and you know what I mean? Like, I did all the things, but, like, the pressure of winning or losing, like, just becomes so much less when the more in the sport, you're just like, bro, it's like everyone wins and loses. You know, it's like, I'm more into the people who, like, you just need a perfect day and you can win everything.
So your motivation is kind of redirected with your jiu-jitsu career from competition to teaching.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that my motivation always kind of is like if I get too comfortable in anything, like if I get too comfortable in my jiu-jitsu, like, something got to change. If I get too comfortable in the business, something got to change. You know what I mean? Like, so for me now, competition used to be like a proving grounds, and now it's more of a just like, if I get too relaxed, I got to go do something scary.
Yeah.
You know, and then like that'll force me to like think about my training or think about my coaching or think about, but as the gym grows, I'm definitely more like, I'm more fulfilled by having my students win than me actually winning. You know what I mean? Like, when I win, I feel great, cool. When my students win, I like almost pop. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, it's just like so much better. Yeah. So like, I think in order to be a good jiu-jitsu competitor, you have to be selfish. And in order to be a good jiu-jitsu coach, you have to be unselfish. So it's like a very hard line to like, to navigate.
I have a question.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
Gentlemen, may I please know how you do the belt system?
Yeah, sick. So jiu-jitsu has the belt. There's like a kid's belt system. So just forget about that.
Yeah.
It's literally just nothing. Right? It's like once you turn 16, you start as a blue belt. So it doesn't, you could be whatever as a kid. There's no kid black belts, right? And then it goes, so everyone starts at white, blue, purple, brown, black.
Okay.
Right? It took me like 11 years. I changed teams once, so that kind of slowed some things down. And there's not really tests. So like for me, every day is the test. And what I think is the belt is not, it's not significant, or it doesn't show your expertise. So I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but that does not mean that I'm an expert in jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
It means I'm an expert at learning jiu-jitsu. So the belt,
I love that.
The belt shows you just how good you are at learning it, right? So for example, like a purple belt, I might need a technique explained to me maybe 3 or 4 times. Now at black belt, I can kind of watch something happen and understand where it fits in the fight and how it works and how I need to break it down for my students. But if you stop learning or stop making yourself uncomfortable, I mean, like, you were a black belt. You know, it's like kind of one of those things like, I used to do jiu-jitsu.
Education thing.
You know, it's 100% that. And it's like, you know, again, like, I do think like a black belt just means you're like an expert at learning. So if you're not still learning, you just have like some fabric, you know, just like fabric around your waist.
I mean, a lot of what you're saying is, you know, how to live productive and how to live a good, healthy life. I mean, honestly, you're talking a lot about like community and, you know, teaching and learning and sticking with things and struggles.
I think jiu-jitsu is like the vehicle for a lot of these things, though.
Okay.
Like, I think that people find there's like deeper truths in everything, and I think I'm lucky because I found like this is what I mean, like the two main driving things in my life are very like be involved or don't be a part of it kind of things. You know, like jiu-jitsu is very much like a be involved. You know, like you're going to be there in training, and even if you're not the competing, you're going to be like, oh, but Mark's competing next week, so like I got to show up to help Mark. You know what I mean? So it's like the more involved you are, the better. And like I got more involved in jiu-jitsu, and it just, because it's hard, showed me all these little things. You know what I mean? Like all these little truths that, to speak like on what you're saying, you know, it's like I always tell people like we have this thing called the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, but it happens on accident because it's like for example, there's a lot of guys who are like, man, I used to drink a lot and now I don't drink because if I want to train tomorrow morning, if I'm hungover, it sucks. So they're not even thinking like, oh, I don't want to drink because I don't want to drink. It's like tricking yourself. You're like, oh, I don't know many jiu-jitsu guys who eat fast food, and it's not because that shit's not awesome. Like, bro, Big Macs are awesome. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I'm a red-blooded American. Like, I love me a quarter pounder, but I'm gonna feel like garbage the next day. And for me, training is more fun than the quarter pounder. So it's almost just like this weird self-serving, like you know what I mean? It's like almost like I'm so addicted to jiu-jitsu that it blocks out all the other things that you might be addicted to. You know?
Yeah.
Like it kind of like I'm not fucking with this thing.
Yeah,
like I'll have a couple beers, but if I'm,
it's gonna jeopardize your
yeah,
productivity.
like and at any day, like I want to wake up and I want to train. Like that's what I want. I want my body to work. You know, so like it accidentally forces you to do things like I'm in bed by 11, and it's not like I don't set that rule. It's just like if I want to have fun tomorrow, I gotta sleep.
I mean, you know, a lot of those. I'll always go back to recovery because that's what.
It's the basis.
You know, that's the
everything
basis
that
of
we're
where
doing.
this came from, right? And for me, you know, coming to your studio and training again is a way for me to reinforce the good behaviors.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, I literally I think the last time I trained was like 2 weeks ago. And I left there, sat in my car for like 20 minutes with such a headache from oxygen deprivation.
Yeah. And just in silence.
And just sitting there like, God, I feel like shit, but that was so much fun, you know? And it makes me remember that, you know, life sucks.
It does.
Like shit hurts.
Yeah.
You know, wear a helmet.
It's hard. I mean, that's the other thing is like, I've had like a very, if you like look at the, you know, like how we would in today's society score things. Like I'm a straight white male with, you know, parents and, you know what I mean? Like things worked out, but like my life ain't easy. You know what I mean? It might be like comparatively easier to someone else's, but like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like your worst day is your worst day.
Where do you think you'd be without jiu-jitsu?
Man, I literally can't even picture my life without jiu-jitsu.
That is dedication right there.
So,
that's dedication.
I mean, yeah, it's just been like for like 15 years has been like the driving force of like every day. So like the idea of me without, it's like the same idea. Like if people would be like, what if you never found hardcore music? I'd be like, bro, I can't even, like, it's like when someone's like, the universe is expanding forever. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, my brain, like, okay, I believe you, but
this
like,
is
my
just
brain
who you are.
can't, yeah, like, I can't imagine, like I think I was going to find jiu-jitsu no matter what. Like, the idea, I don't know. I wish I had, like, a more profound answer.
That's a profound answer in itself, my man.
Like, I think that I would be in a bad place. But, I mean, like, I think, like, all roads led. I've never felt, so, like, we were talking before about, like, religion. I've never felt so comfortable as anywhere that I feel, like, than when I'm at jiu-jitsu. Like today, I taught a private at 11 o'clock. The other black belt at the school, his name's Mike. He's getting ready to compete next weekend in Nashville. And so he invited, like, 9 or 10 guys. And then we ended up, like, sitting there for, like, an hour. And everyone's just, like, sweating and, like, hanging out. And, like, to me, it's just, like, this is it, man. This is like life. It's like, this is like the best part of life. So I mean, like, I know where I was before jiu-jitsu. I was getting in trouble. I was running wild, but like, I kind of still, I mean, like, I think if anything, like, jiu-jitsu maybe just toned down the dumb parts of that and then like amplified the other parts of that. You know, like if you ask some people, they'd be like, man, Jake's still kind of wild, you know, like, so I don't know. Like, I think for some people, they might say like, oh, I'd be in jail or I'd be using drugs or like, But I can't even imagine my life without it to even say what it would be. It would be less happy. I'd have less friends, I think, but.
I mean, character doesn't change, right? Like who we are inside doesn't change, but how we behave, how we respond, how we deal with situations changes.
Yeah.
So do you think that being in the jiu-jitsu lifestyle now has helped you to make the good decision when there's
Definitely.
a good and bad decision?
100%. 100%. So I would say that, again, like, it was like so important to me. I don't know why. It's like a funny thing. Like, but like when I was like I think it's because, so we're like around the same age. When I was in high school,
Almost.
you could still fight in school.
Mark wishes he was around the same age as you.
Well, you're 40, you said?
50.
50. Oh.
He's the old one.
So even better, you could have really fought in school.
I'm
Yeah.
the 40.
So
I
like,
used to fight in school all the time.
I was like Dad,
sorry.
Yeah, Mom, sorry. My mom already, my mom was the one who told me to fight in school. But, like basically like from 7th grade till the end of high school was like a war zone for me anyways. And it was like, did I pick it? Sure. Did I not pick it? Yes. You know what I mean? It was like kind of, I was like definitely a kid who like, this is what I mean. Like, this is who I am. So like I went to a private school, high school first. And then I got asked to leave the private school. I didn't like fit the mold.
We have a lot in common.
Yeah. And so my first day of at the public school, I was wearing like a Black Flag, the band Black Flag hoodie, and like some dude came up and like flicked me in the chest and was like, "What's that?" You know, called me some name or whatever, and I socked him. And then I'm like in the principal's office, it's my first day of school, and they're like, "Don't even know who I am." You know what I mean? So like, that to me was like normal. You know what I mean? Like so like, jiu-jitsu, if anything, like almost gave me like again like, I think jiu-jitsu put all that energy that I had, kind of this like chip on my shoulder, and like I liked being aggressive. I like, you know what I mean? Like I thought
It gave you direction.
Yeah, exactly. And it put it in a place where I was just like, oh, this is where it goes.
Oh, it's like a channeling type thing.
100%.
Like,
And it used to, I mean, like,
all this chaos, and you kind of siphoned it
yes.
into
And like
one
before
thing.
jiu-jitsu, like I loved getting in fights in the street. You know, like I just thought like it would just get my adrenaline going. I just half the reason I got into hardcore music was like, and there's fights at the shows. You know what I mean? It was like, and so I would say like I was getting in trouble doing that stuff, but I do think that like I think jiu-jitsu is there's no way that jiu-jitsu and me didn't collide. Yeah. You know, I just can't see it. You know what I mean? Like, just the energy that we had, it just seemed, now it just seems like so, I don't know. I actually have never thought, like, people never asked me that question. I never even really thought, like, what would happen without jiu-jitsu. But, like, it definitely calmed my mind. And it also made me feel like I had, like, way less to prove to like, the average person.
Okay.
Right? Because, like, when I first started training, I think there was, like, 12 of us. And it was just, like, 12. Like, if you interviewed all 12 of these dudes, you'd be like, maniacs. Every damn one of you. You know what I mean? They were, like, veterans and immigrants. And, you know, just, like, everyone had, like, a wild life. And we were hard. You know what I mean? It was like, and then I would just be like, bro, the dudes who I used to think were tough because they would get in a street fight would get trashed at jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And some of those dudes ended up doing jiu-jitsu because they learned it through me. You're like, bro, you're going to get trashed.
Yeah.
And so I think if anything, it like I tell people all the time, like I think I already said it once, like I went in being like, I want to smash people in the street. And then I learned jiu-jitsu and I like never had a street altercation again. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of like, I don't know if I stood differently or I don't know, something changed. So I'd say it definitely it's been only positive, but I can't imagine my life without it.
Well, maybe because you had the outlet now to expend all of that energy. You
For sure. I mean, that is some of it is
for it.
and most of the time, like I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? Like if I leave here and some dude wants to like scrap in the street, I'm like, damn, bro, I'm kind of tired, man. Let me maybe just get in my car and go home. So I think like that's definitely, you know, like been part of it. But I also think like that's growing up. You just kind of like grow up and you like calm down a little bit. And so, I mean, like if anything, jiu-jitsu, okay, so here's what I would say. Without jiu-jitsu, I don't know if I ever would have left the country in the way that I left the country. So it like broadened my global perspective. Without jiu-jitsu, I would have had like one type of friend. Now I have a lot of type of friends. And without jiu-jitsu, I would have had to figure out some other way that I was going to be self-employed. So I mean, like it's given me those kind of things. But for sure, those first ones too, where it's just like I always think there was a guy named Simon. And if Simon and I would have known each other in high school, we would have been like enemies. Like, bro, enemies. And we met at jiu-jitsu, and we're like really good friends, you know? So I think if anything, like jiu-jitsu grew my world so much outside of where I was already at, and then let me kind of be like, okay, and inside this big world, this is where I fit.
Well, where else do you know a place where you can get your ass handed to you and then look at the same dude and go, can you show me what you just did?
Yeah. I mean, it's only...
And share the knowledge, share the experience.
It's only martial arts schools. I mean, boxing, maybe, wrestling. You know, it's only these kind of things. But again, I think that comes from, like, if we've both done something hard and we just did it together, you now come from a level of expertise that I trust. So it's easier to have that conversation. I think a lot of times, even for dudes, like, I'm lucky I know what I'm bad at. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I can't fix a screw. Like, if you're like, hang this picture, I'm like, fuck. I'm going to fuck your whole wall up, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to, like, mess your whole wall up.
I mean, it's almost like an unacknowledged bond it forms with the people that you roll with.
But I think it's from doing anything hard. So, I mean, you're a veteran, correct?
Former law enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so the same thing, though, right? So that's what I mean is, like, that's what there's
Forged
a
in
reason.
fire.
But there's a reason that, like, jiu-jitsu guys and military guys and police guys and maniac hardcore punk guys, like, kind of like each other in this realm, because it's kind of like, dude, I mean, it's like today, the guys who were training to help Mike get together, they did, I think it was 6-minute rounds with a 30-second rest in between, and competition speed, so like trying to kill each other. So it's almost like if you just did this with somebody, it'd be like if you just ran into a burning building with your boy and you come out. You know what I mean? Or you just, like, I don't know, hit the $1 million lottery. It's like you just had something that you can't really know if you weren't there. Like, if you weren't there today training, you don't get that feeling. You know, like, those guys had something special. And if when Mike goes and wins this tournament, all those dudes who train today, like, that's theirs. You know what I mean? Like, that's all of theirs. You know what I mean?
It's pretty awesome.
And so, yeah, and we've built that school. But I think, like, there's almost like a bonsai tree. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to grow. It's going to do its thing. So I just kind of, like, prune and, like, tie some things off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm lucky. But I think, like I was just on another podcast, and, like, we were talking about the women's program. And they're like, bro, I can take 1% credit for that. Like, we have the dopest women's program in probably a 6-hour drive. You know what I mean? Like, you can go to our school on a Wednesday night, and there's a chance you'll see 30 women training jiu-jitsu, like, hard. You know what I mean? It's not, like, any different than the men's class, except for there's no men there. That's the only difference.
So is it a form of self-defense?
Can be.
Can
Yeah,
be?
sure. So, I mean, it started as the best way to win a one-on-one fight. Like, that's the idea, is for a smaller person to defeat a bigger person in a one-on-one fight. When we get into the self-defense thing, that's where this is where I think, like, I have to be truthful, which is, like, yeah, it can be helpful. But, like, are we talking about self-defense, or are we talking about winning street fights?
I mean, if I get in a street fight, the last thing I want to do is end up on the ground.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, like, if you get in a street fight with me, you fucked up 10 steps ago. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, that's what I mean is, like, are we talking about self-defense? Because real self-defense is, like, leave. Like, listen to that little thing in your head. Like, this, so I would say this, jiu-jitsu has taught me this. If I'm used to be like, let's say I was at a bar, and a dude walk in, and he got, like, a little rah-rah going on. I'd be the guy who, like, look at him like, fuck this guy, stupid ass. Now I'm like, yo, let's go to a different bar.
Yeah.
Well, here.
And, like, whatever happens to that dude tonight is, like, fuck him. But, like, part of self-defense is also, like you can't fight in the street. You're going to get arrested. I know. Like, that's what I mean. I got arrested a few times before I did jiu-jitsu, and, like, that's terrible self-defense. Like, I won the fight, but
then it cost you.
Yeah, then you end up in jail for however long. That sucks. You know, like, any amount of time in there is they do a good job not making you not want to come back. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm crazy, okay? And you want to talk about maniac? I'm off the rails, okay?
Yeah.
But the reason I asked you is not from a perspective of I want to go pick a fight with somebody
Right.
on the street. I'm more concerned of, we talked about
Yes.
this, my ex is extremely abusive.
Yes.
And he literally wants to kill me.
so what I would say is, and I think that anyone who's responsible at teaching martial arts would have to say this, will jiu-jitsu help you? 100% is going to help you. Is it the best route? Probably not.
No, walking away, getting away.
Buy a gun. I mean, like, it's one of those
I
things
have
that, like, no, but this is America. And I'm only speaking from my perspective, right? And there's other people who's going to have different perspectives, and we might disagree. But if we're talking about self-defense, like to me like I always use the example of like Krav Maga. It's like a popular martial art that people talk about. But like, yeah, but for self-defense, I do Krav Maga. And it's like, I'm going to poke your eye. And it's like, yeah, but dude, you know what happens if you poke someone's eye out? It's called maiming. You go to jail for that. Like, it don't matter, like, if it was your fault or not your fault. Like, it's cool in the realm of, like, this extreme world where not everything's filmed and not everything, you know what I mean? Like, so if you want to win a street fight, jiu-jitsu can do that. If you want it for self-defense, it is absolutely one tool that you can have inside your self-defense tool belt that's only going to help you. But again, it's like, for example, do you know if I'm left or right-handed?
I don't know. You're gesturing with your right hand a lot, so I'm gonna have to assume you're.
I'm left-handed, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying this for like the example. But I'm guessing you're right-handed because you wear your watch on the left hand.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's this idea. So like, if Mark's gonna punch me, he's probably gonna punch me with his right hand. So now I'm like already steps ahead. Mm-hmm. Right. And now if I feel like you're gonna punch me and you're sitting there and the door's there, like I'm fucking leaving.
Yeah.
And like that's self-defense. But if we're talking about winning a street fight, different. But like to me, it's like talk about like self-defense is the before the altercation, the after the altercation, right? Because like you said, like if you have a crazy person, or heaven forbid you beat up one of my friends when I was a teenager, like yeah, dude, you won today. Well, there's like 20 of us, bro. We're coming back, and like that's bad self-defense. So to me, it's just like jiu-jitsu has taught me like, if anything, like how capable people are to hurt you. You know what I mean? Like people you would never, like if you saw some of the people, even some of the girls in my school, you'd just be like, oh, this is like a normal, like nice lady. Is she gonna like beat the shit out of you? You know what I mean? It's like if she wanted to, she could beat the shit out of you. So for me, I was like, yes, it does help self-defense in like I'm aware. I'm inside my body. I'm paying attention to what happens here. And if someone does grab me, okay, now I've been in this situation hundreds of times. But what I'd say is like the best self-defense is the 20 steps before someone grabs you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, is jiu-jitsu great as like a fail-safe? 100%. And I think jiu-jitsu is great because it like puts, like I can sprint 40 yards fast as hell because of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like I don't run ever. But like if I need to get away, I'm in shape that I can get, you know what I mean? I can run away. So like, yeah, I just think the world of self-defense is just it's just such a hard conversation because there's just like
it's misunderstood what self-defense is.
It's not honest, right? Yeah, we have like it would be very easy for me to like market my school as like a self-defense school, and like I teach self-defense classes, and every time I have this conversation, which is like, are you actually worried about something? You know what I mean? Like, okay, then like let's talk about that and make like an actual plan for like that.
Right, and like I said, I have plans for in the event that
it can't hurt.
That I
it
get
can't hurt. So it's like
calling me.
Yeah, it's like
she's gonna call me.
Yeah, but that's a good plan. That's a decent plan though. Is like you should have people that you can call. Like that's what I mean. Is like or people that you can go. Like for like me right now, I know if I have to go somewhere no one needs to know, I got like 5 places I can go. That's pretty good self-defense. You know, like I can just disappear if I need to. You know, so it's just like those things like when we came in, I started like my instinct is just like, okay, there's an exit, like here's one. So like, but like I learned that from having discussions with other jiu-jitsu guys. It's not like we talked about it, but it's like you like, okay, for example, if you see pictures of jiu-jitsu guys, nobody ever folds their arms like this.
Because they need their arms.
So they fold them like this. Right? So like it's just like those little things that are like, okay, yeah, that'll help you in self-defense, but at the end of the day, it's just like listen to your instinct.
You can get the hell out of there
Yes.
if you can.
Like we have these things where we have these animal things in us telling us to be uncomfortable, and I think a lot of times, especially women, from the women's class, they like like you learn they're like conditioned to ignore these things. It's like fuck that. You know what I mean? If someone gives you a bad vibe, like good self-defense is like just go somewhere else. You don't have to be friends with everybody. Like,
right.
You don't have to. Like you can just literally go somewhere else. So, in a perfect situation, like. Hopefully you would never have to use it, but I would say like I feel more my wife's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I feel more comfortable knowing that like no one's gonna grab her in a parking lot, but also she knows like when she walks through the parking lot not to text.
Right. Yeah, and I Joe gave me that Kubaton So it's on my keychain. I actually hold that in my hand while I'm walking, as opposed to just my keys.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, honestly, and this would be my advice for anyone who wants actual self-defense. It's like, buy a gun, get lessons, learn how to use it, get your concealed carry. You know what I mean? It's like, go through these steps.
Do it the right way.
And this is America. Like, we're allowed to. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many places where you ain't even allowed to have that kind of option to defend yourself. And, like, that becomes much more of, like, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah, I mean, the battle over, the right to carry is a crazy one for another day.
Yeah.
So I want to put you on a spot, unrelated to anything we talked about. Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
This fight he's got coming up.
Sad.
With Jake Paul. What's your opinion on it?
Sad.
Yeah.
Super sad. So one of the highlights of, like, not my life, but, like, I always say to people, like, bro, you can accomplish a whole lot in your life. You're just like a guy. You know what I mean? Like, Jeff Bezos could be in here and, like, brother, this jiu-jitsu taught me, like, dog, you choke like everyone else chokes. So, whatever. But I always was like, dog, if I ever had the opportunity, like, I'll never bother a famous person, you understand? Mm-hmm. Like, if we left here and there was, I don't know, freaking Justin Fields walking outside, I might say, like, what's up? You know what I mean? But I'm not going up to him, like, hey, can I get a pic? Can I, you know what I mean? Like, or even bother him. I even just tell my friends, like, yo, I saw him, that was cool. But Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan, I was like, if I can ever meet one of them, I'm going to bother him.
I met Michael Jordan.
There you go. Was he cool?
I was 12.
Okay.
He was at the Mary Lemieux golf outing, and I was...
he was probably gambling.
I actually literally walked into him.
Yeah.
Literally, head down, walked into him.
And was he nice?
And I went like this, and I said, wow, you're tall. And he was like, hi, little one.
Right.
You're not supposed to be here right now.
So he was nice.
Yeah,
That's
he was
good. That's
super cool,
it.
But...
Let's go, Jordan. You got to be nice to 12-year-olds, you know? But Jordan's kind of like, he got a reputation for maybe not being that nice. So I actually did run into Mike Tyson at the Pittsburgh airport one time. I had just fought the New York Open. I get off the airplane. I'm walking with my wife, and I hear this voice behind me, and I swear to God, I look at my wife, and I say, man, that poor guy. And she was like, what? And I was like, he sounds exactly like Mike Tyson. I was like, can you imagine if that was you? Like, I was telling her, like, dude, I feel bad for this guy. Like, I'm sure his boys just... Because imagine, you sounded like Mike Tyson, bro. We would tease you. So then I hear him talk again, and I turn around, and I'm like, oh. I'm like, Marie, it's fucking Mike Tyson. Like, oh, my God, dude. And she's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I got to say what's up. I was like, I have to. He was like, dude, and as soon as I said it, like, his bodyguards looked at me and gave me, like, the don't you dare. And I was like, I don't care. Like...
Right.
And, you know, like, Mike Tyson's one where if you saw on the news, like, Mike Tyson punches local man at airport, be like, believable. So I was like, he might hit me, bro. I might, like... So he was in line at McDonald's. I just went up and I was like, excuse me? He turned around and I was like, I'm not trying to make a big deal. I fight. Like, you're the man. I just want to introduce myself. He, like, put his shit down, stuck his hand out. He's like, my name's Mike Tyson. What's your name? And then he was like, what do you do? Jiu-jitsu? I'm like, yeah, because he saw my ears. He was like, oh, that shit's awesome. You'd probably beat me up. And I was like, Mike Tyson just said I'd probably beat him up. You know what I mean? Like, and my wife got, like, a picture. There's, like, some dude in the middle. You, like, literally see, like, me, some goofball blocking the camera, and then, like, Mike Tyson. You know, it's like...
That's pretty cool.
So for me, like, I'm a Mike Tyson, like, bro, I played Mike Tyson Punch-Out. And, like, you used to, like, know if kids were lying in school. They'd be like, I made it to Mike Tyson. You'd be like, shut the fuck up, liar. Like, you did not beat Mike Tyson on the video game. No, you didn't. You know what I mean?
Nobody
like,
can.
Yeah, like, we would have, like, I remember sitting around the lunch table and people being like, dude, what would you have to do if you fight this guy? And then, you know, eventually it's like, what would you have to do if you fight Tyson? And everyone's like, die.
Right?
So for me, it's just like, man, what a legacy that it's just like sad that if he needs the money, it's sad that he needs the money. Because literally like a year ago, he was walking around with a cane. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I've never done a boxing class in my life. If Mike Tyson walked in here and they were like, fight him, I'd be like, nah, dog, that's fucked up. Like, he's
still got the most ridiculous right hand in the world.
Oh, I mean, he has a chance, but I think it's a small chance. I mean, like, literally, he was walking around with a cane last year. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's also one of those things where I've watched every bit of Mike Tyson, anything you can watch, like documentary, interview, like whatever. And he says he hated it. You know what I mean? Like, when you watch those things, he's like, bro, I don't really like the person that made me. I don't really like, in order to be, and I get this. This is what I was saying about being a competitor versus a coach. Like, being a competitor in something that's fighting is like a very selfish lifestyle. You have to be, like, very selfish because you could die. I mean, like, it is that, like, like when I'm going to compete, at least for that 6 weeks, like every meal's about me. You know what I'm saying? Like sorry, we want to go out, but like, no, I'm not eating that. Like I got to fight in 6 weeks. Some other dude is trying his hardest to choke me out in front of all my friends. Like I'm not doing that. So I understand that, you know what I mean? Where you're like, man, I kind of have to like sometimes turn into like this like person I don't necessarily enjoy. You know, like I would say like the 2 days before a tournament, I'm not like a fun person to be around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm anxious. I'm a little bit like in my own head. You know what I mean? Like, and so I know that happens with every fighter. I've been around it too long. That no one's immune to it. It's just like, damn, bro, like all that, you did all this shit. You know what I mean? Like people put you up there, they put your name in with Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Like people like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, this, and then you like to even give this kid the clout. You know what I mean? Like good for Jake Paul. Good for him.
It's like watching your hero fall.
Yeah, and fall in a way that you're like, dog, don't. Like you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like please don't do that. But it's like maybe you've made some really bad choice. I don't know. It just seems crazy because it's like he had millions of dollars, he lost it. Like how many times can you lose millions of dollars?
Apparently enough.
I mean, apparently enough, but that's what I mean. Like that's actually, I think, like if we were really gonna have the conversation, like it's almost like that. Like I almost think it's like gross. You know what I mean? It's like gross that like Netflix can pay Mike Tyson to go get knocked out by this fucking goofball. You know, and like and he needs the money, I guess. And like, yeah, if Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul, is it gonna be great? Like, I guess.
I mean, it's like, you know, he's 57 years old now, so it's
it'll be amazing for him, but it's not like a legacy building thing. He's like, bro, if you were a kid and then they're like, hey, there's this guy. I mean, it's like this, like like Achilles, the actual Greek, you know, like imagine, and then they're like, and then after the Trojan War, my man went and swam in a Kool-Aid pool for $50. You'd be like, damn, what? You know what I mean? Like, oh, like, yeah, George Washington won the Revolutionary War and then spent all his money on a slip and slide. You'd be like, dude, fuck. You know what I mean? Like why is this happening? You know what I mean? So I kind of feel that where it's just like, bro, your whole story is going to, one way or the other, be like, and then you did this YouTube thing. It's just sad. I don't know. For me, it's just sad. I think that he's like clearly like an interesting and unique person. There's got to be other ways that he could like even be involved. Like, I don't know. I would like to see him in like a mentor role to somebody. You know, I think that would be sick if it was like, this is the guy that Mike Tyson's bringing up instead of like, we're going to watch Mike Tyson. I mean, he's going to get knocked out. I mean, it's just like this kid, he picks his fights based on like, it's not fighting. It's like his money making. It's just almost pro wrestling. Like, bro, you beat up like an ex-NBA guy.
He picks people he knows he can beat.
Ben Askren looked like a damn substitute teacher. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just sad. So to me, it's just like, will I watch it? Probably just because of the conversation. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's happening. You know what I mean? There's like, you can't ignore it. But I think overall, if I could like switch whatever timeline we're in and be like, and then in this timeline, Tyson doesn't have to box at 50.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to see anyone boxing that old. Like, dog, my dad's like 64. If someone punches my dad, like, he might die.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even think, like, Jake Paul's, like, not even 30.
Yeah.
Like, punch a 50. Like, that's nuts, bro. Like, that's what I mean. I'm 38, and if like, a 56-year-old dude came in and was like, punch my head, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. That's crazy, you know? So.
Well, let's back up a little bit here. I appreciate you being honest about that. So you said, you know, you moved around a lot and you kind of had to fight and this and that. And you kind of had not a rough upbringing, but
no, not at all. Not rough. Yeah. If it was rough, it was all self-inflicted. Like I had every opportunity to make it not rough.
What would you tell 15-year-old Jake?
Keep it up. Fuck yeah. You're going to be so stoked when you see the 38-year-old version of you. You did it.
That's nice.
You fucking did it. No, for real. I say this all the time. Like, I turned into exactly who the fuck I wanted to turn into. You know what I mean? Like, I've pretty much known who I was since I was, like, 17. And so, like, as far as, like, big ideas, you know? And they've gotten, like, more refined the older I get. And I say this all the time, like, dog, if I was 38 and I could go back and tell like, look at me. Look what we did. You know what I mean? I think I would be stoked. I'm like, I run my own business. I have, like, a super hot wife. I fight for a living. I get to play music with my friends. I'm covered in tattoos. You know, it's just like all the things when I was a kid that I was like, this is what makes something cool, is like, I did it. You know what I mean? Like I did it, or it's like I got a big dog. You know, it's just like everything that I think was cool when I was 15, I still think is cool. So there isn't a whole lot I would change, man. I mean, like I made mistakes for sure. There's things that like weren't the best. You know what I mean? Like like when I was 19, I got arrested for inciting a riot. And that was why that was a wild ass period of life that I learned a lot, but I wouldn't change shit. And if I went back and like even now I'm like, man, you got in trouble for that. That almost like changed your life. Would you have done it differently? I'm like, yeah, I wish I would have hit him harder. You know what I mean? Like knowing all the trouble that I was gonna get, like I wish I'd have fucking made it worth it. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where like, of course I had things that like, man, maybe looking back I regret, but like when I look at where I ended up, the knowledge that I have, the ideas that I have, the friends that I've made, you know, it's like, okay, like when that thing happened when I was 19 and a bunch of us got in this fight, like I also figured out who my friends were. You know, it was like real quickly, like you're like, oh bro, like this. So it's like there's a blessing in all the things. So I think if I went back to that kid, I'd just be like, man, just keep doing it, dude. Like you got this. You're right. Like I think I would say that. I think like you're right. Like
I mean, I'm a firm believer that regrets get you nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, we've all done things that we aren't proud of, things that we don't like, things that we wish we could change. But at the end of the day, that's your strength is forged out of your mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. The bonds that you put on yourself are what weakens you.
100%.
So by, learning, like you said, learning from your mistakes and knowing who you are at such a young age, 17 years old, I didn't know who I was until I was 49 when I got sober.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing that you knew that young that this is the path you wanted to take. Now, granted, of course, you didn't know exactly how it was going to go.
No, and like it's gotten more
what you
refined,
wanted.
but basically, like I think the things that I thought when I was 17, I just like I'm smarter about them. I can express them more intelligently than I could.
That's pretty awesome because a lot of kids out there today, they don't have the best role models to look up to.
They need hardcore music. I mean, I don't.
Listen, I don't say this a lot, but I think people should look up to you. You know what I mean? Because, everything you're doing, it sounds like it's not, in just my, opinion, it's not selfish. You know what I mean? Like you are giving back. You're doing something good to help other people. Granted, yes, you love it.
Of course I get a benefit from it, but yeah.
It's part of who you are, but, you're doing something because you know it's going to benefit other people.
Yeah, and I think, like, this is what I mean, though. Like, when I was young, I figured this out, and hardcore music taught me this. It was just like, at my school, I had one friend. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. I had one other dude who we connected with. He's a brown belt at my school. We're still boys. He plays in my band now. But it was like, we figured out, okay, we got one friend at this school, and we got one friend at this school, and then this school. And then there was 6 of us. And then it's like, okay, now 6 of us meet these other 6, and then there's 30 of us. And now it's like, yeah, I got more friends than you fuckers. You know what I mean? Like the dudes who picked up me in school, I'd be like, bet, come here. Come to my thing that I'm at. You know what I mean? Like we would be, like I always say, like we were in Wood Street in Wilkinsburg as like 17-year-old little white kids being wild as shit. And then going to like Mars High School. But like, I learned like, dude, you can make your own shit with your friends. That's like what I think is like makes me feel this way, where it's just like, yeah, man, but if 5 of us just do our thing, we can do it. Like we can, and like, so that taught me like, so like my one friend Christian, he was like the greatest skateboarder that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And all of us just built him up. We're like, bro, you're the fucking man. Like he would and then he like moved to California and wrote for Skateboard Magazine. And it's like, yeah. And all you needed was your 4 boys to be like, fuck yeah.
Pumping you
do
up.
This shit. Yeah. And so like my thing is like, I've learned over and over and over again that if you're like, this is something that I'm super excited about, check it out. Like that's what I mean is like, a jiu-jitsu room's great with 5 people. It's so much more fun with 10. It's even better with 20. Hardcore shows are sick with 20 wild dudes. They're the best with 100. You know what I mean? Like if you can get 100 kids stage diving, it's sick. You know? So like I've always been bro, there are no rules. We make them up. If we're the ones doing it, it's us. Like it's just on us now. And so to me, it's just hardcore like taught me that. Jiu-jitsu has reinforced that. You know what I mean? That it's just like if you get your friends and you're doing it in the right way. You know what I mean? Like when we played in bands, nobody was like, I want to be Metallica. You know what I mean? It was just like, I want to play the craziest show in Pittsburgh for my friends in Boston to come down and play. That's it. And then you're like, oh, now we get to go play Boston. It's just like those things work out. And I think like I was so lucky to find that like do-it-yourself mentality when I was so young, where it was just like, yeah, man, Red Hot Chili Peppers are cool, but fuck it. We're playing our own songs. You know what I mean? Like, I just was so lucky to find that so early that it just like, that's what I mean. Like when I was 15, I would have gone back and like, yeah, just keep, go even harder, dude. Like go crazier at it, because it's going to work out, you know?
I think this is going to be a good place for us to wrap this up today. But if you could give any advice to anybody out there, kids, adults, you know, on what you've learned in your life, you know, what would you tell people?
Man, I think this is like almost one of my taglines now, and it's just like share your passion. Like again, like I think I already said it once. Like, bro, we could have sat here for the last hour and been like, let me tell you all the things I don't like about jiu-jitsu, right? Or you could have been like, let me tell you all the things I don't like about podcasting. Instead, it's like, yo, I got these sick mics, the gym's here. It's fucking dope. You know what I mean? It's like, so the things that I'm into, I'm into it, you know? And then I think it's like, if I can share my passion with you, maybe it makes you a little more comfortable to share your passion with her. And then she can share her passion with this person. And now we're only talking about good shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, so if my life gets better, I'm going to call you and be like, yo, I got more students at the school. Like, bro, if someone hits me up after this and is like, hey, I saw the podcast, I want to come try jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm telling you, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be like, this worked. This was sick. Like, hell yeah. Instead of being like, oh, man, only one guy messaged me. I don't know if it was worth my Sunday.
I mean, that's the hard part about this, you know, the project that we're doing is, you know, I'm the guy that's always looking to see how we're doing, because I want to see the shares. I want to see that people are giving this to someone else, and hopefully that this is helping someone else.
And I'm the one that's like, we had 3 people watch this in an hour, as opposed to the last time we only had one person.
Baby steps. That's what I mean. It's like when I opened my gym, it was 600 square feet, and it was like literally 6 weirdos. It was just like me and my friend. And now we have over 200 students. We win the tournaments. Everyone's cool. You know what I mean? Like, we have a great community where like people like being there. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Is like I want to create spaces that people want to be in. And again, like not everybody, the people who I like. And so like if you don't like me or you don't like what I'm doing, or cool, go do your thing, man. Like, all good. I'm not even wasting my thoughts with like, you know, I mean, there's other jiu-jitsu schools in Pittsburgh, and like, I hope they're killing it. Like, I hope they're doing awesome, man. We need everybody. The more jiu-jitsu schools that do better, the better the tournaments are, the more tournaments my guys can win. You know what I mean? It's like, I just think that, man, it's easy to be negative. I think that the world rewards you in the wrong ways for being negative, so it feels good. You know, like, I don't really have social media. I don't really have, you know, you've tried to get in touch with me. I'm pretty, like, kind of hard to get in touch with guy. But I like that, and it's like, I live in my world, and I just talk about things that I'm stoked about. You know what I mean? Like, I just try to, like, I try to connect people to things they're stoked about. You know what I mean? So if I meet another person who I think should be on the podcast, I'm going to be like, oh, bro, this is great. Like, so it's like, share your passion. That would be my advice to adults, to kids, to whatever. It's just like, if you really like something, you probably like it for the right reasons. You know, if you really like it. So just like share, like talk about that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Say it with your chest. Like, let me hear what you really like. And then maybe I'm going to learn something, you know?
This has been really awesome. I'm so glad you came on. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Thanks.
I'm always happy to get the word out, you know? Spread the word. So.
I might call you. I mean, I might come down and let you guys kick my ass a little bit.
So here's what I say. The tagline is the first class is free. But realistically, you can come try as many classes as you want. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Like, that's what I mean. Like, if I don't take it personal. It's for me. Like, I know I like it, you know? And I try to present it in a way where, like, it's the safest and most accessible for someone else to figure out if they like it. But if they don't like it, it's like, oh, cool. But maybe now you're going to, okay, I didn't like this, but maybe I need to go try this thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to, like, find your thing.
Mark's been telling me I have a lot of unresolved rage.
Hey, it's one of my middle names, you know?
Well, do me a favor. Put out the information about your gym and also about that show you got coming up in June.
Yeah, so the gym's called True Believer Jiu-Jitsu. If you do a Google search for it, it'll show up.
He's on Instagram.
Yep, on Instagram. True. I don't even run that one though. But if you message it, I'll get the messages. Any of the messages on our website, they eventually get to my phone. I'll get back to you. But what I would say is, like, if you're interested in jiu-jitsu, you can absolutely come to my school, come check it out, but there's other schools too. Like, just try it. Just try jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, of course I want people to come try it at my school. But like, at the end of the day, I think it's dope. I think it's cool. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few people who I've met that like, I don't like who do jiu-jitsu, even if that's the only thing we vibe about. So, and it could be anything hard, you know? So True Believer Jiu-Jitsu, we're in the North Side. The band's called Pain Clinic. We play June 15th. It's a benefit show for one of our friends. His daughter's getting a heart transplant. It's at Preserving Underground, who's another hardcore kid who grew up in Pittsburgh and owns his business now. You know what I mean? It's just like the proof is in the pudding that you can do it yourself, you know? You just got to have like 3 or 4 people behind you.
You're a great dude, man.
Thank
you so
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Real quick.
Earrings.
Hold on. Real quick, I want to thank Trek Management. They allow us to use their facility to record this podcast down in Northside. They have 2 properties, the Residence at the Garden and ABHL. Check them out. They're looking to fill them. Kelly, earrings.
My earrings. Today I got new earrings from a metaphysical store. They are Wood Mother. So like Gaia. What's the name of that place? I think it was called the Heritage Owl. Or something like that. It's on Carson Street. I'll make sure to plug it next show.
You good?
No.
As always, guys, you're not alone. We're always here if you want to reach out to us on our social media or our email, which is steelcityroundtable@gmail.com. Just remember, you know, there's always people out there that can help you get through things. Check out Jake's True Believer. It's an amazing place to go. Thank you, Jake, for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Just remember, folks, there's always a seat here at the Steel City Roundtable. We love you guys.
Nice.
Bye.